Welcome back. It is yours truly, Nick of Movie AV Impulse, and we're here to talk about Rocky 3. Personally, this is my favorite movie out of the entire franchise, with number 4 being in at number 2. So the reason why I like this one so much is because I absolutely love Mr. T in this movie. He is so arrogant, cocky, so negative, and yet so positive because he was so hungry for that title. He was willing to do anything. But today on the review, we are going to get into my thoughts on what I think about the STEELBOOK that I have right here, what I think about the 4K transfer, and what I think about the surround sound, which is just a DTS HD remaster. And you know what? We'll get into it. But I do have a lot of issues with the way that they did this STEELBOOK. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, time out. Why can't you just do a fake review? There's always some kind of issue with you, man. Just give the people what they want. Tell them it's a great transfer. This guy's really got a conscience, man. Let him know. Time in. The hell was that? Because I really have a problem with this, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you why this is one of the weirdest 4K transfers I've experienced yet. But first, let's get into that intro. And we're back. Now, before we get into my dislikes about this STEELBOOK and about the transfer, because I'm telling you, this is a really weird transfer, I will first tell you, don't forget at the end of this video, I will have the movie question of the day. So stay tuned after the review, just so that you could participate in what I feel is going to be a really great little segment that I'm going to be doing on this channel. Okay, so I am happy with the STEELBOOK. I just have one disclaimer. Now, the STEELBOOK is really nice. I love the feel of it. It's not like embossed or anything. But again, it's just that black background with the red writing. I really love the way this looks, especially when you put it up on the shelf. It just looks so nice. It like has its own kind of like vibe to it, and I just absolutely love it. I do like the back, you know, it's Mickey and Rocky, and they're working out, and you know, it's great. And then on the inside, you're finally listening, because if you watched my Air Force One STEELBOOK, the one thing that I did say is that they were lazy on the inside work. I like inside artwork. Now, here's what I hold a problem. Now, in every other STEELBOOK in the Rocky series, 1, 2, 3, and 4, they all got STEELBOOKs. That's fantastic. I didn't get them all. I'll probably wait for them to go on sale, but I had to get 3 day 1 because it's my favorite. I have to ask you, Sylvester Stallone, what the hell is your beef with Mr. T? Because I find it hilarious that in Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 STEELBOOK, on the inside artwork, you got Apollo Creed. And it looks cool. You know, don't get me wrong, it's awesome. And then in part 2, you got Apollo Creed. Then you get to Rocky 3, and you got you boxing a speed bag. Like, come on, man. And then in Rocky 4, because you got Drago, you put Drago in there. Like, why not put Clever Lane? I mean, Clever Lane was hungry. Are you mad because he beat your ass and knocked you out and took the title originally? Yeah, I think you might be. Let's get into the 4K transfer. That was my little rant for the STEELBOOK. It's like, I'm really pissed off because Mr. T is my favorite character, and this is my favorite movie out of the entire franchise. I haven't seen any of the Creeds, and I know you're going to say, oh, you got to see the Creed movies. They just don't appeal to me. And Rocky Balboa was alright. You know, I wasn't really too crazy about that. But I would have really have liked to see Mr. T inside the artwork like you gave all the other ones that you fought the respect to do so. Anyways, now here's where you're going to have a lot of discrepancies, because this is where I had a lot of discrepancies, and I guess it's to each his own. But this film is extremely grainy. Like when they're fighting, or when they're having like a serious moment, or where Clubber Lang totally goes up to where Rocky's, seeing the statue for the first time of himself, and he's the champ, and talking about his retirement, and Clubber Lang gets really pissed, and I love that part because he is so disrespectful. I love that shit. Quick side note I forgot to add. In this scene where they're honoring Rocky, the drummer has Mr. T written on his drum set. I thought that was such a cool little head nod to Mr. T. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. Because that's what you do if you want to fight another boxer and you really want to get under their skin. You got to hit him where it hurts. And when he starts saying, hey, how many nights you stay up there, woman? Why don't you come over to my house, see a real man? That shit just... he was so crazy, ignorant, and cocky. I love that shit because he knew how to get under Rocky's skin. But those scenes, and then when Hulk Hogan comes in as Thunder Lips, I absolutely love that cameo from him. Hulk Hogan was one of my favorite wrestlers. Not my absolute favorite, but one of my favorite wrestlers. And it just was so great to see him, especially when I saw this movie for the very first time on VHS with my pops. I was so young, and I just remember seeing Hulk Hogan, like, oh my God, it's Hulk Hogan. So I absolutely love that whole cameo from him, and they're doing the work for the charity, but he whooped Sylvester Stallone out. But of course, at the end, it was all just in good fun. But those scenes right there really feel like they paid a lot of attention to detail. It's not as grainy, but it really kind of irked me because the whole film should have been like that. Because then there are these other scenes where Rocky's brother-in-law there, he goes into the arcade and he's at the bar, and the shots just look horrible. The blacks are blending into each other. There's no kind of separation from them. The grain is so heavy. I almost thought I was watching a DVD at some points in this movie. It's almost like it drops out and then it picks back up when they're about to fight, or like I said, when they're having a serious moment, where Mick ends up dying and Balboa is just at his bedside after the fight, after he got his ass whooped by Clubber Lang. He's sitting there at the bedside, and that looks so great. It's nice and clean, and it's got the right amount of grain. I'm not saying remove all the grain, because we need that grain in there. That's how I remember the film. That's how I love to see it. But I think the entire movie, you spent the money to get this done in Dolby Vision. I know it's not cheap to redo these movies in Dolby Vision, so I just don't understand why you wouldn't take advantage of the entire thing being like that. Why just focus on the fights, and why just focus on the serious emotional scenes? That's not how you restore a movie. It should be from beginning to end, and if there's an end credit, put it in the end credit too. You're paying one price to do the Dolby Vision. Do it from bottom to top, top to bottom, beginning to end, because that's the way it should be. Now, I don't know about the rest of the Rockies. From what I hear in reviews and see, and Ken did a really great review on the Rocky films, I just don't see myself rushing out to go and get part 4 and part 2 and part 1. I got part 3. Here's my other thing about this movie. The DTS is pretty good. Now, I took my receiver out of simulation mode and I let it run DTS HD. Now, I didn't put it on DTS X, which kind of simulates almost like a Dolby Atmos sound. I just kind of let it play out of the 5.1 and basically shut the ceiling speakers off. And I really feel like you should have really took advantage of Dolby Atmos in this, especially in the fighting scenes, because those 2 extra channels, or 4 extra channels if you have that setup, which I will pretty soon. I'm going to get 2 more speakers and a better receiver. But when you have those, like that atmosphere, it'll really make you feel like you're there. Like, I felt all right. I mean, the surround sound isn't bad at all, but I would have loved to have seen you take advantage of those height speakers and really bring that scene to life and really hear every punch, every fist, every swing. It just would have been awesome. Dolby Atmos would have been awesome in this movie. But other than that, the surround sound is okay. Would I suggest going out here if you're not a collector, if you're not interested in getting all of them? If you can't show restraint like I can buy this Steelbook and be happy with it and not buy another one. I'll just buy that whole pack and have an extra copy of Rocky 3 on 4K. That stuff doesn't bother me because I don't own a single Rocky movie on DVD or Blu-ray or nothing. I kind of just held out because I had a feeling that at one point they would do a 4K, and they're all on, I think, HBO or Netflix, one of those 2 apps. They're on there. So I've always just watched them through apps because they're always in and out of the apps. So would I rush out and buy this? No. Like, if I were you, rather than spending $30 on this, if you really want the Rocky set, go and get the all 4 movies on one set. I will link Ken's review down below on his review on what he thought about the whole set in general. So, I'll link that down below for you guys. And I'm sorry for the ranting, but I just feel like they could have just such a better job on this one. I hope you stuck around because I want your honest opinion. Let's set aside certain things. But here's my movie question of the day. Out of the 2, which one has to go? Rocky 3 or Rocky 4? Because those seem to be everybody's favorites. And for me, it's Rocky 3 all day. I've seen him in Rocky 4. And Rocky 4 is an awesome movie, but I think it's a lot more cheesy with the montage. And I want to know in those comments which one you would prefer. Now, take out the fact that it has Dolph Lundgren and take out the fact that Mr. T is in part 3 and give me your honest opinion. Which one has the better storyline and which one has the better cinematic feel? Because I'll say Rocky 3 has it all. And that's it. Join me on Wednesday with my top 5, and I'm going to let you in on what it's going to be. It's going to be on my top 5 dream movie and TV show cars that if I hit the lottery, I would custom done and have them built so that I could have exact replicas of these 5 vehicles. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, I already know what he's going to pick. But do you really? Anyways, thanks for joining me. If you like what you see, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and share for next Sunday's video. I will be doing another life lessons. This one's been taking me a little while to put together. I've already started working on it, but it is taking me a little bit more time than I wanted it to. But it's a very powerful and a very emotional movie and subject for me. So anyways, hope you liked what you see. Go drink something. Go do something. I love y'all, man. See you on Wednesday.